the bump and run, the Bristol move.
That's aggressive, but that's good. Good hard racing. Oh, he puts him out of the groove there.
Oh, man.
Will he get the bumper? Yes, he does. Here comes Logano. Logano on the inside. A drag race. They're sideways. And it's going to be Logano getting the win.
The back end of the 18. Kick out.
Yeah, he got into it right there. Moved him out of the way. Just got the lead.
It's almost too early to be racing that hard for the lead, wasn't it?
Never too early to be racing for the lead.
At Bristol.
At Bristol.
Man, this is one of the biggest wins of my career.
It's the bump and run,
Baby.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to the Bump and Run podcast. I'm your host, Michael D.Y., joined by my two best friends, Matt the Statman Reilly and Eric Daytona Ron. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys had yourselves a William Byron type of weekend. He was the big winner down in the ATL, getting it done in a rain-shortened race in Atlanta. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Podcast available on all podcast platforms every Monday night. Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and more. And every Tuesday morning, video available on YouTube. Shout out to all the friends of the show. Shout out to all the new listeners we got last week. Thanks to SVG, the Aussies and the New Zealanders, or I guess they would be called Kiwis, showing up in the comments. We absolutely love it. We hope you stuck around for Atlanta this week, because if you did, you got yourselves a motherfucking treat. It was an amazing race weekend. But first, fellas, how was your weekend? Daytona Ron and Matt the Statman Reilly. What's going on, fellas?
I'll tell you what. I have absolutely no idea what I did this weekend. Like,
Yeah.
If you gave me a solid 10 minutes right now for me to actually think of like what I did this weekend, zero idea of what went down. I'm still in that like post 4th of July. I had, from Thursday to Tuesday off. So I made that an extra long weekend. Dude. So my days, I have no idea what's kind of going on. I'm still trying to get my bearings straight after the 4th of July weekend. But I do know my Sunday, it was great because, man, I'm going to admit, I was kind of dreading a 7 p.m. start again. I'm like, 7 p.m. Oh, man, super speedway style. But did we have ourselves I'm going to say it. It was my favorite race of the year so far.
Yeah, we definitely saw the race of the year this past, Sunday. That reminds me, though, before we get into it, me and Matt, we're going on vacation this weekend. We're hitting the beach, not together, separately, but that means Monday.
Maybe we'll run into each other.
Yeah. But that means next week we will not have a new episode after New Hampshire. We will catch up to you guys after Pocono, which we're all going to be at. So it should be a good time. Fellas, I didn't tell you. Guess who got tickets to Watkins Glen for their birthday?
Hey!
Bree coming in clutch. She delivered on the old B-Day. My birthday was on Friday.
Oh, I thought you were supposed to guess.
And, my bad. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, who? Jay? I don't know.
Yeah, Jay's going to Watkins Glen on August 20th. No, I'm going to the race in Watkins Glen. Can't wait for that. Looking forward to that one. So I'll finally have boots on the ground for another race too. I'll catch up to you guys. Eric got Bristol, Matt got Dover. We're all hitting Pocono. I gotta pick up the slack there. But Matt, how was your weekend?
It was good, man. It was good. So I've actually, speaking of vacation, we got a lot of vacation stuff done this weekend because this upcoming weekend I'm in a wedding. And then, Sunday is going to be recovery mode / kind of packing and getting that all done. It's, I have a 1-year-old now. So, it'll be his first vacation and our first vacation with the baby. And we've been told by a lot of people, it's hard work with an infant going on vacation like that. So, it's going to be a lot of packing on Sunday. So, just a very busy next 2 weeks or so, really 3 weeks. So we're excited though. And then Saturday night got to watch the fights. Like you said, I hope some of our Aussies and our Kiwis are listening from last week. I hope we got some carryover because Alex Volkanovski handled his business in the main event and had a knockout in the 3rd round. So it was a fantastic fight. He's a fellow Aussie. So I'm a big fan of his as well. So that's what we did this weekend, just getting ready.
Yeah.
Both you guys going to the beach. When you come back, we're gonna have a Hawaiian Tropic sponsorship, SPF 100. You boys better load up.
Oh, yeah.
Boys, I am. It doesn't do it justice how opaque my skin really is. Like I can, if you put the right lighting on me, you can actually see through me. So yeah, we've got the SPF 435 coming with us to the beach.
That's the thing. I've been working on my farmer's tan all spring long. You can barely see it. It's just a little pink, but compared to this bad boy up here, that's bright white. So, I'll be loading up on the, I don't do the Hawaiian Tropic though. What's the orange bottle? I'm not exactly sure. I think it's like Sport something. That way it doesn't wash off in the water. So I can go swimming around in the ocean and whatnot. But
it's going to be a week full of orange crushes for me. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
But speaking of weekend, we got a whole weekend of racing to talk about. Fellas, let's jump into it. I got the NASCAR news off the bat, though. The Chicago Street Course ratings are in. It was the most watched race on NBC side of the schedule in the last 6 years. Fellas, we knew it was going to be a big deal, but what do you guys think about just bringing in some good ratings for NBC?
I mean, to me, there's one outlier, and that is SVG. I really do believe that these ratings and this rating spike had to do with a lot of his fans and that crossover from Supercar and him being in that Trackhouse 91. It's incredible. I think our sport is, I've said this, if you've been a listener to the podcast the last 3 years, I think since then, the 3 years leading up to now, and in the next 2, so 5 years, that's the window that I had for this sport to grow and to NASCAR really to hit these marks to keep the sport going. And I just think they've been hitting. I think they've been hitting on all of these new ideas. Like Matt said, Ben Kennedy, let him cook. Let that guy come up with some ideas because, the street course, we all thought it was going to be a disaster. It was an amazing event for NASCAR. And then you followed that up with back-to-back weeks going to Atlanta, which, we just all kind of agreed that it might have been the best race of the year. So I just think NASCAR is doing a great job. And I think, the support from these other series, we talked about Dirt, last year with the Larson and how much that brings in and trying to mend, the whole racing family, no matter what series you come from. I just think when it's good, the eyes will follow. I love that. We're on a roll right now as a sport, right? Because we had Nashville, which was fantastic. We had Chicago, which was fantastic. Atlanta, which was fantastic. With this package, I'm hoping that New Hampshire this upcoming weekend puts on another great show. So, and then you've got Pocono, you've got Richmond. Like there's a stretch here where like we're gaining the momentum, heading in the right direction for the playoffs. Cause right, like the playoffs are less than 2 months away. Like we're going to be here before we know it. And so, it's really good. I think Chicago was the perfect placement within the schedule heading into all these exciting races, because like Eric said, I think we've got some fans that maybe stuck around. They got to see a show last night. They're going to see a show the rest of the summer, because now we've got those playoff battles going that NBC is really good at highlighting. So, you know what too? I think it had a reverse effect as well. Like I think Supercar benefited from that, because like a guy like me, admittedly 2 weeks ago, I hadn't really watched much, if any, Supercar in my lifetime, and I checked it out. I wanted to see what SVG was up to this weekend. Eric, I think you sent us a highlight of the first lap or two of their race, and it was super exciting, and it reminded me of stock car racing in the Cup Series on a road course. Like it was like beating and banging. I like that they start the race from a dead stop. Like that's different and unique, and it's a cool little thing that they do. And like I don't know if was that, I don't know, their season, it might have just been a highlight from an old race, because I think their season goes when the over. So I'm not sure what we saw there. So forgive me. I'm new to the supercar scene, but whatever I saw, it was exciting. So I think it had also the reverse effect on it, where supercar might gain some new fans as well.
Yeah, I think it was good for both sports. I think kind of what you said too. It was in the perfect spot in the schedule. July 4th weekend. It was kind of crummy weather in some areas in the Northeast, so you had a lot of people staying at home. Not a lot of other sports were on, and I heard more buzz about this street race from just normies, people that I know don't watch NASCAR. Like Matt, you were talking about, you were at a family function, and who was it? Like your aunt or something like that?
So we recorded last week's episode on Monday, July 3rd, and then after that recording, I went over to a family party on my wife's side of things, and her aunts and uncles and cousins were like, "Hey, like, what was that race all about last night? It was really, really exciting." It's like, oh my God, like the people who don't typically watch NASCAR are asking me questions because they tuned in for a little bit of the Chicago race and they liked what they saw. And this is just me, one little function that I was at. Could you imagine the buzz all over the country with all these NASCAR fans? I mean, it was like, I texted you guys. I'm like, yo, like I'm getting asked questions about NASCAR that people never asked me about before. So I think it's a really exciting time right now.
Yeah, I think it was just a win for motorsports in general, to be honest with you. But let's move on to the next piece. Cole Custer, he's running 3 races for Rick Ware Racing, one of which was Atlanta. Not really much to talk about there, but making his return a little bit. And someone else making their return, Dale Jr. will run the Homestead Xfinity race. That was just announced. He's going to run the Bass Pro Shop 88. What do you guys think about Dale Jr. not coming back to a short track like he's been, but coming back to a 1.5 miles and one of his favorite 1.5 miles at that? How do you think about Jr., especially Matt being a Jr. fan?
I was gonna say, you know how I feel. I'm excited, so I'll let Eric answer this one.
All right.
Yeah, it's always good. I'm always going to support when Junior or any of those, drivers want to come back and do one-off races. I think it's just overall it's good for the sport. It's good for those young kids that maybe never had an opportunity to race against Junior. Now they can say they have and they did, and maybe learn a few things from him just while they're walking on the grid next to the cars. I just think it's good for the sport in general. When anybody goes down there, just really wish it was the Hellmans. Love that Hellman skin.
Yeah, the blue and the,
I love
the yellow.
Hellmans.
I love Hellmans too. What you call it? I just think it's interesting that he's running a 1.5 miles and he's doing 2 races this season, opposed to his 1 short track a year. It makes me wonder, does Junior, it sounds like Junior's maybe itching more and more. So maybe as the time goes by, maybe we'll see 4 or 5 starts in the Xfinity Series. I don't know. We'll see.
I wonder if he does any SRX races,
that would be
this
fun.
Thursday night, if that goes. And, since he has this podcast now, it makes me wonder too. He's bringing on a lot of these old racers that he used to race with, new race car drivers that are currently in the sport. And I wonder if talking to all of these drivers has really reignited his flame that he has, and always constantly talking to them and about this and reminiscing about the past. Man, that's got to keep the fire burning in Junior. It's got to be tough to just sit down and bullshit about it without going out and putting that helmet on and strapping in. So I don't know. I think it's exciting.
I know he's mentioned it in the past during the Ask Junior section, where he specifically always asks his guests, "Hey man, do you miss it?" And
always, dude.
Yeah.
He had Kenseth on last week, and he asked. They talked about it, and it's like Kenseth was like, "Nah, I'm good. Not really. I don't really miss it anymore." But I think Junior asked, I think he wants them to say yes, so he could be like, "Yeah, me too."
Yeah. No,
well, that's because I think Junior needs to do a little bit more racing outside of NASCAR. Kenseth is doing, he's at Slinger right now. He's racing Slinger National. So and I know he does a couple of those races a year. And I think maybe something like that would keep the juices flowing, but don't go the route that we talked about. I don't know if it was last week or the week prior about, tainting Jimmy. It was when we talked about Jimmy Johnson and should he just not get in that 84 car? And that's how I feel about Junior. Xfinity is one thing, go in there, it is what it is. But I think that is kind of the line. 1 or 2 in the Xfinity. Other than that, have fun with it. Do the Cars Tour, do something fun, that doesn't really mean really much, you know?
He's got that 6 sun drop car that he races in the car series.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And that brings up a piece of news I forgot to put on, but thankfully, Eric mentioned it. SRX returns to ESPN this Thursday night to kick off their season. So make sure you check out Tony Stewart's promotion, SRX, the Superstar Racing Experience. Some great short track racing. I'm looking forward to this Thursday night, and I have Friday
Why are we
off
talking
too,
about this still, Whitey? Sorry to interrupt you, but I didn't want to lose it. I heard, I don't know if it was us talking about it, that the struggles in SHR right now, we're talking, I think we've talked about it in past. I think I've wrecked them.
Yeah.
There's rumors swirling that Tony Stewart is blacklisted in NASCAR because of his SRX and what
series?
He does and the whole Eldora thing. And I think it came from Tony. Someone said Tony might have said, I don't know if you guys heard this as well.
Dude, I heard the same thing. Where did we hear that from?
I don't know where I heard, but it's like he's not getting the funding and he's not getting all this other little bits and pieces that NASCAR might be trying to screw over Tony in a way.
They look at it like
where did we hear that?
I don't know. Because I heard the same thing. I don't know if it was something we shared with each other or if it was on Sirius. Definitely heard the same thing because maybe it was DBC. I don't know. We take in so much information from all over the place. Regardless, I heard the same thing, and it's because they look at it like it's a competitor to NASCAR, not like, hey, we're just out here doing our own thing off to the side. Like they look at it like it's competition.
See, I didn't hear this. I missed this along the way. Is it NASCAR themselves or is it Ford the manufacturer? Because he runs, Mopar and drag racing. Okay.
I think it was NASCAR. And I don't remember, Eric, you're right. If our listeners heard the same thing, let us know. We have wet noodles for brains, especially on Mondays. But yeah, we definitely heard the same thing because they look at it like it's competition. They don't look at it like, hey, that's just Tony off doing a side thing.
And then when that got brought up, it made sense about their struggles in a way. And I'm like, is this just him trying to make up an excuse and kind of cover it up and kind of like say that, or is there a little truth behind it? And today there's always that little truth behind everything. So I don't know if you heard anything like that, comment below and let us know if you heard the same thing.
Yeah, let us know if there was smoke, there's fire. I want to know. And honestly, I feel like I remember seeing a tweet somewhere where Stewart-Haas Racing might switch manufacturers. That's why I wondered if it was a Ford deal. But again, rumor mills, I don't even want to get into to rumors until it's like, a credible source is saying it. But anyways, 2024 Daytona 500 tickets are now on sale, and infield camping has already sold out. In fact, it's sold out in the first day. What do you guys think about that? It says a lot for the health of the sport, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
All three of us have been to Daytona 500s, and I think I speak for all of us when I say it's one of the best racing experiences you could do, whether you're a NASCAR fan, a V8 supercar fan, an F1 fan. Like the Daytona 500 is a legit party all week leading up to it and up to and including the day of the race. So if you haven't been to a Daytona 500 and you have the means necessary to get your ass to a Daytona 500, do it because it's so worth it. I'm not surprised at all. Whenever I hear that every year, it seems like that news comes out around this time where Daytona's already sold out or almost sold out. It's never surprising.
I'll tell you what, I'm nervous. I want to get my tickets renewed for 2024 because we missed this past year. And, it was kind of on purpose. We said, we kind of ran its course. At least for me, it did. I've been there almost 10 years in a row. And we're like, you know what? Let's kind of give it a break. We'll go somewhere else this year. And man, did we all miss it? And we want to get back. And now when I read this, white man, I'm like, woo! I go, it's either we got to make some decisions here because usually it doesn't sell out till later on in the year. And this is making it a little trickier on me here.
Yet another sign of the health of the sport right now.
Oh yeah, I'm sure the grandstands won't sell out until December, January time.
Well, usually it is around January, but I'm hearing swirls like it's not only the camping selling out, like tickets are absolutely flying
really
off the shelves for Daytona. Yeah.
I hope it's not ticket scalpers though, too, just buying them up to resell.
I was talking to my buddy Mo about that too at the bar on Friday. I'm like, dude, because we were talking about this while the truck practice, I think, was on and a commercial came on for it. They were talking about it. And I'm like, dude, I hope it's not just a bunch of people that bought them all up and are going to charge double, triple, whatever. And man, if they could, I mean, it's tough. Some people have figured out a way, but then, with the whole Taylor Swift and logging on that whole ticket match, it's tough. It's tough to prevent people from being scumbags.
No, I agree. Let's see. 2 more pieces of news. There will be a short track package test at New Hampshire on Monday and Tuesday after the race. Several drivers will be involved. So hopefully, I know we've made a little bit of strides with the downforce package at short tracks so far this season. Hopefully they get it right, and hopefully it's like quick changes when we get around to like Richmond and Martinsville in the fall, and of course Bristol, the night race. What do you guys think about that? I believe Christopher Bell, Eric Jones, and a handful of other guys are going to be doing the test for the short track package.
Whatever it takes, man. Whatever it takes to get the racing better, and no better group of people to get the information from than the drivers themselves. I actually have that list. And it is William Byron. So it's pretty much a driver from each major team. It's William Byron, C. Bell, Harrison Burton, Justin Haley, Ryan Preece, and Eric Jones. So, I mean, I guess Penske isn't sending anyone. But yeah, that's the list.
All right.
I think it was hilarious that Junior kind of tweeted that out today. And I think I sent it to you guys.
Yeah.
Where he's like, he was being kind of like sarcastic in a way where he's like, boys, and he tagged every single one of those drivers, and he's like, this test, it's all on you. It's like
the future,
you
the
guys are the ones
you.
that have to change it. This is all on you. This new package.
The history of the sport lies solely on your shoulders.
And I think Ryan Preece,
Independence Day.
Yeah, Ryan Preece. It was Ryan Preece tweeted him back, and he like showed like 2 tires, like one completely shot and wore out, and the other one kind of new. And Dale Jr. goes, he gets it.
Yeah.
They got to beat the shit out of those cars and tires this weekend. They got to really just give it what they can and figure it out. And I'll tell you what, those drivers are some good drivers on a short track to really kind of get a broad sense of what they need as far as, different drivers' inputs go. The drivers that they chose there were excellent short track drivers, and I think they will come out of this with a better product for sure.
Yeah, and then the last piece of news I have, Corey LaJoie is close to inking a multi-year contract extension with Spire. I'm happy for him and kind of sad for him, if that makes sense. What about you guys?
I'm actually extremely excited that he signed this, because now it's just, boop, you're in that 7-car, bitch. Shut up. No one give you a ride. You suck. Just keep driving the 7-car.
Yeah.
That was a little harsh, but it's just, I was tired of that. I was tired of Corey LaJoie in this car, Corey LaJoie in that car. Like, good. He's running well in the 7. He was running well in the 7 till all that Chase Elliott stuff kind of, threw it off a little bit and kind of, threw a wrench into his season in a way. That's what I thought. So maybe this will give him a little more consistency, something that he knows he's going to be. He doesn't have to worry about it, and just work on that car, work on that program, because he has had some good finishes in that 7 car. And I think that team is better this year than it has been in the past. And I think Corey does have talent. You see it from week to week in that car. We just know it might not be for the 9-car talent wise, but no, good for him. It just, to me, it's Corey LaJoie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would have liked to see him gamble on himself, take a risk, maybe not sign that deal and see what other opportunities are out there. But as I'm kind of workshopping that theory through my head, what big opportunities are there? The 4-car is filled. Maybe the 10 might become available. We don't know what Eric Almirola is going to do. All signs are pointing towards MTJ staying in that 19. So what other big opportunities are there? I mean, there's none of the Hendrick cars are open. None of the Penske cars are open. That's maybe that 10 car and that's it. So maybe this was the only opportunity. He kind of read the tea leaves and maybe just said, I'm just going to take the safe route and stay where I'm at right now. I don't know. And as I'm talking this out with you guys, it's like this silly season might kind of suck. I love silly season, just like I love like free agency in the NFL in the off season. Like I love the shaking and the moving off the track. And I don't think we're going to get much this year.
Yeah. I would love to see, and I know it's not going to happen. And and I know it's only his second year, and it's tough going from the old car to this new car and just the Cup Series in general. And, it hasn't been the greatest of seasons. But I would love to see Corey LaJoie go to that 21 Woods Brothers car and see what he could do over there.
I like that too.
Would be a move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let Harrison Burton go back to Xfinity, or let Harrison go to the 7 car. I would love to see Corey LaJoie. I think he would be a perfect fit for that Wood Brothers ride. I just think, who he is, his personality, everything. I just think it would fit, and I think he would do a better job than Harrison Burton is currently doing in that 21 car. And I think that might be, that would have been a route I would have liked to have seen.
I love that Burton family. And with all due respect to them, I just think Harrison Burton needs to take a step back and reanalyze things. And maybe, like you said, we've mentioned this in the past on the show, so it's nothing new, but maybe take a step back down to the Xfinity series and just learn. We all said when the news came out that he was getting into that 21, that that might be a little too soon. And he hasn't done really anything to impress anyone in that Cup Series.
No, I mean, he caused the first caution yesterday, too. He self-spun out, and, I don't know, man. I liked Harrison Burton in the Xfinity series. I like his dad, Jeff, a whole lot, especially as a broadcaster. But, yeah, you want to know what? Eric, I think I would like to see Corey LaJoie get a shot. And you want to know what? Corey LaJoie used to be in the Ford camp when he was for, was it Go Fast Racing? Or no? What was that old team called? Not Go Fast.
I think it was Go Fast. Wasn't it? That was the same team.
Oh, you want to know what? I'm confusing them and Live Fast Motorsports, which is still in business, like BJ McLeod and those guys. So, yeah, when he was at Go Fast, he was in a Ford. I'd like to see him return. If he could get some sponsorship, I'm pretty sure that his sponsors kind of come with him, right? Or those Spire deals? I don't even know. Either way, though, I'd like to see it happen. But that's all I have for NASCAR news. Let's jump into the race weekend. We had a Truck Series race at Mid-Ohio, Xfinity, and Cup at Atlanta. Did you guys see the Truck Series race on Saturday at Mid-Ohio? Any of it at all? Corey Heim was your winner. I didn't get a chance to see it at all either.
I refuse to watch it
this
week because of the way the broadcast was set up. I don't like the fact that Fox isn't sending broadcasters out to the race to cover the race. I don't like that.
Well, I knew they were.
Wait, what did they do?
So,
Fox for the coverage, they kept Jamie Little, Mikey, and everyone. They kept them in Charlotte, in the Charlotte studios, and they called the Mid-Ohio race from the Charlotte studios.
That was at least from for practice and qualifying. I'm not sure.
It was from the race too.
It was for the race too. Yeah. That's stupid. That's so disappointing.
It's disrespectful to the series. You're not I don't know. I don't want to. We can get into it all you want, but I just, for that purpose, I didn't watch it out of, I don't know. It's just stupid to me. I don't know. I don't
Fox doing Fox shit. You know what I mean? And it's just
cutting corners and just ruining the broadcast. And maybe it was good, maybe it wasn't. I don't know because I didn't watch it. But I just you won't see ESPN keeping Joe Buck and Troy Aikman at home for a Monday Night Football game, right? Because they treat the sport with the respect that it deserves. You're not I just don't understand. It's a cost-cutting measure, I'm assuming. I don't know what other reason. Maybe
probably.
There's another reason that I'm missing that caused them to stay in Charlotte and not go to Mid-Ohio. But they just I don't think that's right. You can't cover the sport the right way in my mind from whatever it is, 500 miles away from the track.
Yeah.
I mean, they watch it on screens anyway, though, if you're being honest. You know what I mean? When they're
Especially
in that booth, they're watching
course,
on TV anyway.
Yeah, but you guys know it's just different when you're there. We're not calling a race when we go to the races, obviously, but it's just different when you're there. And I don't know, maybe that's the old school part of me. Maybe this is the way things are going. Maybe they're testing things out for the future to see if it could be done and see how the broadcast can be done. Again, to save costs, but I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either, to be honest with you. And you want to know what? Everything I hear about Fox and their cost savings, it all goes back to the 2020 pandemic and stuff like that. They just haven't put the money back into the product, and then they're fighting to get the contract for the TV deal next year. And I think it's shitty. At least put your money where your mouth is. You're spending all this money to get the TV contract, and then you don't put any money into the product.
Like they don't
guess
treat
what?
the
What if-
sport as a whole with the respect that it deserves. And I'm not trying to be like self-serious about our sport or anything like that, because we can all have fun with it, and we all do have fun with it and poke fun. But like there is a point where like you need to take it seriously, and the product has suffered. Like the first half of the season, like we have to sit through Fox broadcasts, and it just, now that we have NBC, like you just see the difference. You feel the difference in the broadcast, and it's night and day. And I don't know. I don't know.
No, I agree. And you want to know what? I think the broadcast team is one of the reasons why these races is so good the last 3 weeks since NBC took over. I mean, yeah, the racing on track's been a whole lot better too, but like the excitement that NBC is bringing to the booth is just not there with Fox at all. Let's see, Xfinity racing Friday or Saturday night. John Hunter Nemechek was the big winner in Atlanta. Do you guys see any of that? The night race on Saturday?
I had it on the computer as I was watching the fights.
Yeah.
So
I
was
saw a
kinda
little
like,
bit of it while out at the bar. We were getting dinner on Saturday, and I had them put it on at the bar. that was a hilarious. We went for dinner, and it was me, my girlfriend, and another couple, Colin and Jen, and we walk into the bar. I immediately, hey, Xfinity race on the TV and 4 fried bologna sandwiches for the table. Let's go. Bring it out.
Do they make fried bologna sandwiches at Bruise
Yeah,
Brothers?
it was one of the specials. And I'm like, are you kidding me? A fried bologna sandwich? I'm like, I'm definitely getting that, right? So then I know the bartender there, Chilla. So I hear him talking to another table behind me, like a group of these people were sitting there. And I don't know, they were, oh, what do you want? Asking questions. And the one guy heard him say, oh, the fried bologna sandwich. I go, I turn around. I said, hey, just got it right here. I said,
yeah.
Delicious. I said, I recommend it 100%. The guy goes, oh, okay. So that whole table, I think they all got fried bologna sandwiches too. So as Rachilla walked by, he gave me a old tap, said, thanks for the help there,
Dude, that bar it's like I wouldn't say it's an upscale bar, but like it's not a hole in the wall where like you would expect for, like, they have a really good menu, like respect to their really good menu. I'm surprised, like they must have had bologna for a recipe and said like, we got to get rid of this, like throw it on the menu.
Yeah, like
it was delicious.
Some guy had it at his house in the back. He's like, oh, I got to get rid of this. The expiration date's tomorrow. Let's do some fried bologna sandwiches, especially get rid of it. But yeah,
couldn't go wrong.
Oh, that's not bad. John Hunter Nemechek won. Did you guys see the controversy in between the colleague teammates, Justin Haley and then with Daniel Hemrick? I guess Haley was running out of gas and he was behind Hemrick, like trying to give a push. And like, I don't know what happened. He like ducked out of the way. I just saw the controversy. I was busy Saturday, so I didn't get a chance to watch it all.
Was that the photo I saw on Twitter where Daniel Hemrick's hair was all like a mess and he's there talking to him and they're outside the car and it looked like Daniel Hemrick was just like, dude, I don't even want to hear it right now.
Yeah. I guess he left him high and dry, ran out of gas, and then like tucked away. I don't even know. I don't know, but I do know William Byron led once for 20 laps. He was the big winner on Sunday. 2 hours, 24 minutes, 17 seconds was the race time. Of course, shortened because of rain. 7 cautions for 43 laps. We had 18 lead changes among 12 different drivers. William Byron, Daniel Suarez, AJ Allmendinger, Michael McDowell, and Kyle Busch rounding out your top 5. Fellas, what'd you guys think about the race?
It's our NASCAR weekend race grade.
Matt,
Eric, I'm pretty sure we both have the same race grade. So do you want to throw it out there and then we can kind of just both simultaneously talk about it? Because I feel like we both have a lot of the same thoughts this go around. A plus.
Yeah.
I called it an A plus 10 laps in the race. I think I texted you guys.
Yeah, A plus. Absolutely. And you want to know what? I think it's all because of the rain. Because we didn't get that race in Atlanta in the springtime when we went there after the West Coast swing.
So
it was hot. It was hot. It was so much hotter this time around, and that mattered.
If you've listened to this show long enough, you've heard me bring up a specific Talladega race, probably 300 times at this point, where it's my favorite super speedway race I've ever seen, where I forget, it was 2016 or 17, somewhere in that window, and there was incoming rain or storms coming towards the track. And from the get-go, they were telling these drivers, hey, storm's coming, let's go. And they raced their guts out the entire time, and it was the raciest super speedway race I've ever seen. And the rain ended up holding off until the race was over. They got the full race in that time. I hadn't felt that much excitement towards a super speedway race until last night, where same thing, rain is coming, you better get up and go. And the intensity of that race, that first stage might have been the best first stage I've ever seen. No matter what type of track it was. And I know I'm probably prisoner of the moment, but like that first stage last night was unbelievable. It was, I don't think I blinked.
Yeah.
I never, so this is, we have 7 races left to go. I actually had to make a Snapchat and send it out like that. Like if you didn't watch that first stage, like I don't know what you're doing. Get to a TV now, because that was the best stage I've ever seen in racing. And normally, and if you're listening to the show, I kind of been shitting on stage 1 the last kind of 2 years, because I feel like it's practice for a lot of these teams because of the lack of practice that these teams have on a race weekend. So I'm like, stage 1, it's usually single file. These teams are trying to work on their car, figure out how it's doing. And then stage 2, they do those adjustments. Okay, see a little bit better. And by stage 3, the racing, the cars, they're there and the drivers are just battling. Man, was I wrong yesterday with that rain, because stage 1 was epic, dude. That was electric. And, the rain did have something to do with it, but I think the handling of the cars too, the driver input was huge. And I love that when you really have to drive a car, especially on a super speedway style race, which that's why I'm kind of liking Atlanta now a little bit more than a straight super speedway. It's different. Don't get me wrong. They're different because they split up a little bit more in Atlanta. It's not strictly pack up against bumper to bumper. I think I like that. I like how they fan out a little bit. I like how a guy will, he'll get a run. He'll go up. He'll go to the inside or the outside of a guy and pass him for the lead. But the next thing you know, 2 other cars behind that driver has a run as well. Yeah. And he goes and makes the pass. And then it was just, you never knew who was going to get the run. So as a driver, you're in your mirror, you're in front, you're listening to your spotter. There's so much going on. And Junior really nailed it as far as like, he kept bringing up the fact of like the split second decision making these drivers have to do. There's no reaction time. You're either doing it or you don't. And you almost are guessing what the guy in front of you, beside you, and behind you is going to do. And sometimes you get it right. Sometimes you get it wrong. But that racing was 2 wide, 3 wide, all the way around. It battles back and forth. Bump and spins on their own. It was pure racing excitement, like racing excitement. It wasn't controversy excitement. It wasn't, huge flip double, wreck excitement, It was racing excitement. And to me, my Lamaga, man, it was harder than ever.
It was a hybrid style of racing, and like I said, it definitely, like Whitey said, it definitely helped that the incoming rain was. I think what I'm gonna do at Pocono is I'm gonna print out a blank satellite image of Pocono, and I'm gonna take a green crayon and color on it.
Yeah,
and hand it to all the crew chiefs and tell them, hey, listen, rain's coming, boys, rain's coming.
Listen, chances are at Pocono we're gonna see that anyways.
Yeah, I won't have to color anything.
Yeah, it rained right after the race last year. And you want to what? So, Eric, you made an interesting point where, like, these guys, they're making split-second decisions. They're making the same decisions that they make on a super speedway, but it's a mile shorter. So everything's just kind of condensed. And like Matt said, it's a hybrid too, where I thought was super interesting. You saw guys start searching for other areas. Daytona, Talladega, you have the 2 lanes. Sometimes it goes 3 wide. In Atlanta, you had the 2 lanes, and then you'd see a guy kind of get closer and closer to the fence. We saw it with Martin Truex Jr. and Tyler Reddick early on a whole lot, but especially Martin Truex Jr., where he'd kind of, get a run off the fence because of it. And I thought that was super interesting too. It really is like a true hybrid style racing. And I forget who on the broadcast said it, but as I was watching, I kept thinking, I'm like, man, this kind of reminds me of super speedway racing in like the late 90s, early 2000s, where it wasn't two trains, even like when it was just a straight line, the guys are kind of spread out where two cars could pop out, kind of make a move and slide into a spot. You know, there's a lot of spots to slide into early on, but then, yeah, that intensity just kept picking up too, where like it felt like it was like a lap 5 to go in stage 3 for 2 stages straight. You know,
I feel like I'm the super speedway guy. I love super speedway racing. I just always have. And I'm this close to saying that whatever you want to call the Atlanta racing is better than super speedway racing, than raw super speedway racing, because this hybrid style, I mean, our buddy, PJ, I talk to him every race during, the whole time during the race. And I know he's not a big fan of super speedways, and he loved what he saw last night. So, I mean,
we were texting during the race too. He's like, dude, he goes, this is absolutely insane. And like, it really, man, the buzz just last week, this week, it's I don't know, man. I got like, I have this giddy feeling, like almost before the season even started feeling, you know what I mean? Because now you get towards the end of the season, the playoff, the storylines, the cutoff, all the stuff we talk about in those first 4 or 5 weeks of this show, it's all starting to come together, boys. It's all like we're getting to the climax of the season where now everything, every race, every position matters now. And we saw some big movers with having point stays with the 99 and 34, had a great weekend for points, and they got themselves above that cut line. So, it was all around a great race. The racing was good. The storylines coming out of it were great. And the playoff picture, we have a new points leader with Slick Willie 2 clocks. He dethroned Martin Truex Jr. So even at the top, we could talk about the cutoff line, but the first 5 drivers are only separated by 50 points.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's one race. That is insane at this part of the season, that the championship points battle between the top 5 and the 5th place driver is Chastain, who hasn't had a great season and he's still 5th. Like, let's talk about that for 1 second. Like, Chastain, who was quiet for how many weeks here, is still 5th in points.
Well, you want to know what though? He was leading the points before he started getting quiet. Like, he didn't get that win for a while, but he was collecting a lot of stage points. He was in first for a good 4 or 5 races in a row.
Dude, you even look. Sorry to cut you off. I'm sorry if you want to continue that.
No, I was just going to say, and then he kind of fell off for a little bit where we're like, oh man, what happened to Ross Chastain? But he still kept himself in the top 5 of points. And like you said, they're all within each other, where every couple of weeks we kind of have a new points leader, you know? So,
dude, you look at that top 8 and I go all the way down to Kyle Larson, who's in 8th, which is crazy because of how good and how talented he is. You can take those top 8 names. You've got William Byron, MTJ, Kyle Busch, Seabell, Ross Chastain, Denny, Blaney, and Larson. Those are your top 8 in points right now. You could throw those names on a dartboard, throw a dart, and any one of those guys can be our champion this year. Like, any one of them can be our champion this year. And then you have everyone else who I didn't mention who can make a run and put their name in the hat as well. I mean, the season's it's not as crazy as it was last year with all the different winners, although we do have a lot of different winners. It's kind of settled down like we all predicted in the beginning of the season that it would. But we still have an array of guys. Like, your favorite isn't 1 or 2 or 3 guys. We've got a bunch right now, and that's adding to the storylines as well. You really don't know who's going to win these races week in and week out.
No, and like you look at some of the points totals for the playoffs, like William Byron has 22 playoff points right now. Like, that's going to carry him a long way. Kyle Busch has 17. Martin Truex Jr. has 11. Like, these guys are not only have themselves up in the playoffs or up in the top 5 or top 8 if you include Larson, but they're collecting those playoff points that are going to keep them going too. I could see anybody in the top 10 being our champion. Even this morning when I was going to work, I'm like, man, is William Byron going to win himself a championship? And he absolutely can. But at the same time, like, this is his first real breakout year where like he gets hot for a little bit and he's staying hot too, but all these guys are pretty consistent. Kyle Busch, I think is a good favorite for a championship. And even Martin Truex Jr., he's been pretty consistent too. So like, I don't know, man.
It's not like we have the same guy winning every race going back to May, right? We have different winners every week, and it's really exciting.
Yeah, it really is. This is the time of the year that I really love to. I love the playoff battle, the cutoff line battle, and all that stuff. Man, am I happy that Tyler Reddick won a race early on, because I'd be losing my mind right now with how poorly he's been finishing.
I honest to God, I was gonna wreck him again this week.
It hurts, man. It hurts.
And just to like, but I can't do it to him. I can't do it to him. Like, someone wrecked him on the morning drive this morning, and
Sammy did.
Yeah. Dude, the finishes, it was like 28th, 31st, 35th, 34th, 32nd. It's like he hasn't finished above 30 in like 6 weeks.
You know what kills me, though? He always has a rocket ship car. He's always in the top 5 for the majority of the race, and then something happens.
He just when Eric Jones in the 43 at LMC is doing better than Tyler Reddick right now, dude.
Rough, dude. Rough. But that's what you need, is the consistency leading into these playoffs. And the guys in the top 8, except for Kyle Larson, he's another one. Kyle Larson is either feast or famine right now. He needs to figure it out too, because if you look at his finishes, he's either in the top 10 or he's in like DNF. 25th and DNFing. Like, yeah.
Well, he's tied with Austin Dillon with the most DNFs this season at 6. Like, that explains why he's in 8th as well.
And you want to know what? Like, I was gonna wreck him in my records, but he even admitted, like, this week he just flat out took himself out, you know. So like, I don't know. We're getting to the time where you can't be making these mistakes, and I'm here for it. I love it. I think it's absolutely exciting.
Well, now, just a second here. This mistake. Thinking about this.
Yeah.
So the criticism this season about drivers and how they drive, going back to last season with Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson, with Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson, there seemed to be a trend of Larson trying to put people in bad positions, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think yesterday was
it catching up with him?
No, I think it was a product of him trying to not put somebody in a bad spot. He was trying to not get into the back of the 2.
Yeah.
Larson had a run. He was going up to the 2. He had nowhere to go. He's like, shit, I might put the 2 in a bad spot right now. So Larson lifted, and the gap you saw it go away. And when he lifted, guess who didn't lift behind him?
Jones.
The 43.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not lifting. Like, what you're going to lift and then block me because you decided to lift?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I'm thinking, maybe is it in Larson's head about, all these guys are bitching about me. They're bitching about me. I'm pinching off. And like, maybe, they're like, I'm going to let off here. Like, I don't know. That's why the whole Ross, like calming down thing, like calm down. I don't know. It's a weird, tricky thing to go on and tell a driver to change how he drives.
Dude, that 43 left his give a fuck in Charlotte last night.
Dude, and I loved it because you have to anymore. You have to. Everyone else puts everyone else in bad positions. Well, you know what? It's about time he starts saying, you know what? Oh, you lifted and you're going to try to just block me and slow me down? I'm going to go right through you. Corey LaJoie did the same thing. He lifted. He started coming down the racetrack, and guess who's not going to lift? Eric Jones ain't lifted, bitch. Get out the way. And that's not people bitching about him on Twitter or whatever, but it's like they don't realize how many times he got fucked at Talladega, at Atlanta, at Daytona by people just doing bullshit moves on him, leaving him out to dry and running through him. So it's like, you know what? He ain't taking no more prisoners on super speedways because he's an underrated super speedway racer. And you know what? It's like, I'm done. I'm done getting bullied out here. So I was happy to see him lay the bumper to a few people.
Got himself an 11th place finish.
Right.
You boys want to jump into the checkers and wreckers.
3 wide for the lead. 1 lap to go.
It's this week's Checkers and Wreckers.
All right. Since we started with Matt for the checkers and wreckers, let's start with Daytona Ron. What do you reckon and checking?
I'm giving my checkers to the one and only race winner, Slick Willie 2 Clocks, and crew chief, and pit crew, and everybody that's a part of that 24 team. Yes, he won the race. Yes, it was rain delayed. But if you just read that headline, you'd have no idea what kind of day that he had to get to that point.
Oh, yeah.
He spun on his own through the grass, damaged his car, went a lap down, and with the young crew chief that he has, who's still learning on the Cup level, having to make the adjustments to a damaged race car to help him drive back up to the front and be in that situation. I know we talked about him, a lot as far as 4 wins. Is he going to get championship, breakout year? I just think that team in general, we saw their pit stops, 9-second consistent pit stops.
Yeah.
That whole team is just, they're on fire right now. They're on a roll. And I just think we normally don't talk about the winner much, but this winner, he went through a lot of adversity to get there. So Slick Willie 2 Clocks gets my checkers. And Wreckers, I'm just going to give it to Mother Nature for coming in there and stealing more of that exciting racing from me. I'm not mad that the race got canceled. It is what it is. Right call, had to do it. But, man, I just want to see more. I think that's where I was kind of irritated that they were going to do it. And I know me and Matt were going back and forth about, this and that and the logistics. I was just so caught up in the race. I wanted more racing.
Yeah.
I didn't it wasn't the fact that they were going to cut it short because of rain. No, they were cutting that racing short. I didn't care that the winner was going to be under, yellow or whatever. It's I want to see more of this. Give me more of that.
So for once, we need to give the checkers to Mother Nature for creating the environment for great, exciting racing. And we're wrecking it for actually happening. We just needed the threat of rain.
Yes.
And we needed to move in as they're doing the burnout on the front stretch or something like that.
Yeah.
That would have been the perfect ending. That way we get the full race in. But yeah, it sucks that it was cut short, but man, was it exciting.
I think I would have rather the way it ended under rain than a bunch of bullshit overtimes at the end and some weird dude won. I didn't want that either. So I think it's kind of, you could play, it's a double-edged sword if you think about it.
We all get it. We're not complaining that NASCAR made that call because they made the right one. So we get it. We understand why. It just sucks because that could have been the 24 hours of Atlanta. That race could still be going on to this very minute, and I would still be watching it glued to that TV.
That's what I'm saying. That's it, Matt. Right there.
I just never wanted it to finish.
Yeah.
Even if it went the distance, I would have said I don't want this race to end. It was so good. It was so fun.
It really was. Man, that's what you want out of every NASCAR weekend. If you could bottle that up and somehow just
I couldn't go to bed, dude.
I couldn't either.
It was one of those things. My adrenaline was just going, and that's what I was telling Matt. We were texting. I'm going, dude. I'll stay up now. It's either dry the track and get it going and continue this racing and give us more of this product, or just call it right now so that I could prepare for bed and do whatever. But man, I wanted to see more of that, dude. Inject that right into my veins, man. That was that race. Whew. I know. You know what? At work tomorrow, I might find a little replay of that. Run it back in the background.
I have a YouTube link for the whole race replay that I could give you because I watched it again today.
Send it on over, baby. Send it on over.
And
that's one that I have to have in the archive saved. I got to have that race saved for sure.
Eric, you reminded me of my wreckers too. Just a peek behind the curtain. I couldn't think of a wreckers for this race. I had one yesterday and I completely forgot about it until now. So I appreciate that. So we could get to that one. But Matt, what's your checkers and wreckers?
My checkers is going to go towards exactly what we just talked about. It goes towards NASCAR for pulling the plug as quickly as they did and not holding us hostage for another half hour, 45 minutes like they sometimes do. So, like we said, the writing was on the wall from the time the green flag flew, and NASCAR knew this race wasn't going to get going once it started sprinkling. It was the storm was right on top of them. So they made the right call. They didn't hold us hostage. It was 10, I think, right after 10. And by the way, I checked the radar. It didn't stop raining till around 1 a.m., which means that we wouldn't have gone back racing until 2:33. And it's not like last week where it was a holiday weekend where most folks had off on Monday. Pretty much everyone, had to go to work today. So They made the right call for once. They didn't hold us hostage. That's my checkers.
Yeah, I totally agree, especially after the whole entire debacle that happened at Daytona last year, where like 2/3 of the field got wrecked out. Like, you don't want to mess around with sprinkles and rain at a super speedway. So I totally agree. If you didn't give them the checkers for that, I would have too, because I think they 100% made the right call. And I would even say too, like, even when they were speculating, after who was it? It was Bubba and Priest that got into each other and spun.
Yes.
Is that what caused that caution?
And that this is going to be a good segue into my records.
Yeah. Even then they were like kind of debating like, oh, what do we do? Do we bring them in right away? Like, oh, yeah, I don't know. Where they, what's he yelling?
Oh, my bad, dude. My neighbor handle. Dude, I think he's about to lay a sick burnout, dude. He's got a 69 Charger up there, and I just heard him fire it up, and he's leaving, and he usually lays a nice cloud of smoke in the backyard, dude, before he leaves. So I got a little too excited. I had to.
That was an awesome, honest, raw Daytona Ron moment right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I couldn't help it. I had to look, dude.
All right, Matt, what's your records?
That. My records goes to Booty Barker, crew chief of Bubba Wallace and that 23 team. So he made the call to bring Bubba down pit road on the final pit stop, what would end up being the final pit stop, even though, again, we all knew the rain was coming. They had just pitted the previous cycle right before. They didn't need to pit again. This caused Bubba to be stuck in traffic where, like you guys just said, he got spun out by the 41 and then ultimately finished 25th. If he had just stayed out, he probably would have restarted somewhere in like the top 10, and most likely with the car that he had would have had a shot at winning the race.
Yeah.
But instead, because of that, I don't know, that like boneheaded move, that head scratcher from Booty Barker, Bubba now sits 3 points outside the cut line for the playoffs. And, just remember that call when we're in Daytona and Bubba has to either point his way in or win the race to make the playoffs. I just didn't get why he brought Bubba down a second time.
Yeah, I didn't even notice. And I don't think he was in any type of wreck or anything where they might have to work on stuff. I know fuel was a concern for a lot of guys. I thought was really interesting too. Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch got himself fifth place finish. Randall Burnett was the first one talking about rain early on in the first stage, and they were sacrificing their pit stops to fill it with as much fuel as possible every stop, where because changing tires is so quick, you might not get a full tank of gas in it, and then you're just kind of constantly calculating. I thought that was pretty interesting. Maybe, who knows what happened with Bubba. I'd have to look up just on the Twitter feed. There's a lot of people that kind of go through his whole race and the team communication. I wonder if there was some sort of team communication. Maybe there's just something wrong with the car or something. Because why would you bring them in if you just brought someone in? I forget how many. It wasn't that.
It was within the fuel window that he pitted.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't understand that call. I think it's good records though, because you know what? When you're fighting against weather, you stay out as long as you can. Look at.
That's why I don't understand why Brad didn't stay out either. Like, I think he could have made it. Like, look at McDowell. He was basically out of gas. Yeah. And he stayed out there. So it's like
McDowell got so lucky. He got so lucky. Yeah.
But it worked out, but it paid off. You have nothing to lose at that point.
And two, though, Whitey, to your point, Rudy Fugle was saying that spin that Slick Willie had in the beginning actually set them up perfectly for the end of that race because they had extra pit stops.
Yeah. They're off sequence.
They were loading. He said the same thing. He goes, we were just loading that car with fuel every time.
Yeah.
Loading. He goes, we're in the back. We're losing. Loaded with fuel. That was their strategy. So, it's weird to see how some crew chiefs treat rain. And I think that's where we love the sport. Those little details that we get into and look into during the race. It's interesting what goes through these crew chiefs' minds. And that's why I gave the whole crew the checkers, not just the guy behind the wheel, because the decision making that got that 24 car up front.
It absolutely did. Like a 100%, because he took the lead during caution, right? Like during a pit stop and everything.
Keselowski had the lead. Everyone came down. They pitted. They came back out. They raced maybe 10 laps, maybe?
Yeah. And then
wasn't a lot.
No. Let's see. So I'm going to start with my records first. The fans not showing up in Atlanta once again. Especially when we saw that race last night, and I feel like the crowd was half full. Like there was a lot of empty seats, and that's something we haven't talked about in a long time, because the fans have been showing up week in, week out, and Atlanta, they do not. Year in, year out, they just don't show up. I don't understand how we could attract fans to that racetrack. We reconfigured it. We're giving them a new racing product. It's an exciting racing product. If you didn't like that race yesterday, I don't know what to tell you. I thought it was fantastic. And if I was in Atlanta and I didn't go to that race yesterday, I would be embarrassed to call myself a NASCAR fan. Like absolutely embarrassed.
I was there in 16, Whitey.
Yeah.
I think it was 2016. Me and my buddy PJ, who Matt was talking about, we talked during the race. And like, that's 2016, but I remember walking around there. It was cold as shit. It was like 50 degrees was the high.
Yeah.
And even back then, like obviously weather, there was nobody there, dude. Like I remember walking around like by the haulers and everything, and there was just like nobody there. I know it was a colder weekend, but still, when it's colder other places, people still show up.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to notice it, Whitey. I didn't want to notice it yesterday, but I did.
Yeah. And
I'm like, oh my God. They showed one camera angle. They're coming around by the grandstands, and I'm just like, oh my God. I go, this is sad. And I almost kind of just blocked it out. And thank God the racing was so good that they didn't have to focus on that at all.
Yeah.
Because I think that could have been a bigger storyline if the racing had gone sour.
Yeah.
So Dale Jr. alluded to it in a tweet after the race too. And I'm only going to read, it was a long tweet. I'm only going to read the second half of it. The first half, he just talked about, weather and how that's unfortunate, yada, yada. But then he also said, and I'm just going to read it. I cannot wait to come back here again. I have wanted Atlanta to be great and appreciated for so long. I came here as a kid for decades, loving all the success Dad had here. Loved winning a race here myself. But the stands have been empty for some time now. Finally, we have a reason to be excited about racing and big crowds at the track that I was worried we may lose forever. So even Dale Jr., probably arguably the biggest influencer we have in NASCAR, is alluding to it. The guy who just called the race there is saying, like, guys, please get to the race, because NASCAR has shown and proved before, if you're not coming to the track and there's other fans that are coming to the tracks elsewhere, they'll yank a race from you. They've proven that they do it, especially because of how dynamic and how unique the schedule is from year to year now. It's not the same thing year in and year out like it used to be. So guys, I've been seeing this week, I saw a lot of rumors floating around internet that the 2024 schedule is going to be wild.
Yeah.
And so don't be surprised if Atlanta loses a race and they only have one race next year because the fans aren't showing up.
That's what kills me too. They were down to one race. They just had the spring race, and we added this second race since the pandemic, and fans still aren't showing up. During yesterday, you guys are texting back and forth, and I just said, I already know my records. It's the fans not showing up. You guys are like, stop it. Stop talking about the negativity during this amazing race. Yeah. And I hated to do it, but it honestly was the first time I noticed the crowds in a long, long time. Of course, we talked about in the past, fans not showing up. And we just talked about the other week where, like, I feel like since the pandemic, these crowds have been fantastic. We're filling the stands. And then you get to Atlanta, it's like, man, what the hell happened? Where did the momentum go? I think it's just the market. I don't know if it's promotion in the market. I don't know what's going on. They got to figure it out. Or, like you said,
Chase Elliott's home race too. You would think that like the swarms of the most popular driver would show up too. Just Chase fans in general, you'd think would fill those stands out. So yeah, that's a good point, man. What is it about that? Like we talk about Pocono, how their engagement has been incredible leading up to this race as far as advertising and trying to get it out there. maybe it is something along those lines.
The activation in our market for this Pocono race is ramped up tenfold over previous years that I can remember. I mean, we were texting back and forth a couple weeks ago how there's billboards for Pocono all over the Wyoming Valley right now, and there's commercials rolling, and the hype is real for this Pocono race in our area, where maybe Atlanta, they don't do a good enough job. I mean, it's in Hampton, Georgia. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's not Atlanta. It's not the city. It's not within the city limits. And, you can't even give them the benefit of the doubt of saying, oh, maybe the stands were empty because it was a Sunday night on a non-holiday weekend, because they've been empty for quite a few races now.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a pattern at this point. The one thing, what was I going to say? Look at Pocono. Pocono used to get criticized for the amount of fans in the stands too. And I believe it's because you had two races that were super close. They were spread out by a month only, and then you kind of look at what losing a date kind of does for the crowd, where you have one opportunity and we've been selling out ever since. Like, it sucks that we're down to one date, but it helped fill the stand. Maybe you want to know what? I think we should get rid of an Atlanta date. I say get rid of the spring date, where it's kind of like Eric said, it's kind of cold. You don't want to show up. Make it a hot ticket for the summertime. And Matt, I understand it's not in Atlanta proper. It's not near the city, but neither is Pocono. We still show the fuck up,
Right.
I don't, Nashville Super Speedway, 45 minutes away from Nashville. They showed the fuck up, like
fair, very fair.
I know.
Matter of fact, most racetracks are out in the middle of nowhere because they have to be.
Exactly, they have to be. But that's all I'm gonna do with my records. My checkers, I want to give it to RFK and just the Fords in general, because specifically Brad and Christopher Buescher, Chris Buescher, sorry, they just continue to show.
Dale Jr. being an influencer.
It is. They just continue to show speed, especially at the super speedways consistently. Like, Chris Buescher's always up front at Daytona, Talladega. How many laps did he lead? He led 39 laps. He finished 15th. Again, that's some shuffling because of the cautions and whatnot. And then Brad Keselowski, he led 3 times for 19 laps. So combined, RFK leading a lot of laps of that race yesterday. I thought both cars could have won. And I was just really hoping when Brad was leading that second stage late that the rain caution would come and he'd get that first win as a team owner. I'm just really looking for that storyline. But man, the Fords in general, they unloaded quick during qualifying. They ran up front. I feel like at one point, like, the first 4 rows were all Fords. Like, I know we talked about it earlier in the season where Ford made some aero changes, and I think it really helps at the super speedways. They took some, they went with more downforce versus drag, which definitely does help at the super speedways. It's paying off for them. It kind of killed them everywhere else, it seems, where, some guys will struggle here and there, and then some will show like splashes of greatness, like Joey Logano will run really well one day while Blaney's in 15th and vice versa. But just, man, super speedways, it's where Ford's at. You can't deny it there. So I just really, I enjoyed what the Fords were doing. I thought it was a great race in general. And that's all I have for that.
I'll tell you what, Whitey, I'm just going to add to this with the Fords.
Yeah.
I just saw, passing through Twitter, it was like a charter battle someone had of like points with the charter teams. Yeah. It was the bottom half from like 36th up to 31st, I think it might have been.
Yeah.
It's like 31st to 33rd, and then like 33rd to 36th, whatever. The number 14 car is 31st. What? He's only one ahead of Noah Gragson. So think about that. As far as we all know, Noah's season.
Oh, is that Chase Briscoe?
How is that car so bad?
It's so bad, man. It's ass. It's bad.
I really do think Chase Briscoe has talent. I really do. Like, I think it's there.
He clearly does.
I just like, is he? I know I don't follow him.
No,
he
got that. He got that huge fine. He got it. He got deducted 25 playoff points.
I'm like,
Yeah, because
when I saw that, I go, "There's no way." I'm like, what is up with this?
No,
So yeah, you're right. I forgot about the fine.
You remember it was the neck deduct or whatever it is.
Yeah. Oh my God, how did I forget that?
Yeah, it was the forgery. They hit him with like a 150-point fine. So what the fuck is going on with Harrison Burton that he's only 30 points above a guy in a Ford who got 150 points deducted? You know?
Oh, that's sad. That's sad.
Rough, man, rough. And you know what's even sadder? Ty Dillon, dude, 32nd points. At this point, Ty, just fucking retire, dude.
Get done. Yeah.
Just work the front office at RCR. Work with your brother in his talent agency or whatever he's got going on with the fucking pro bull riding or whatever. Just struggling. But boy,
here at NAConduct Incorporated, we'll straighten your finances out so you don't have to.
Oh, exactly. Come see one of our certified CPAs to get your tax preparation done in a timely fashion here at NAConduct Incorporated. Now let's see let's see. I'm trying to think of what we didn't talk about. William Byron. We talked about his up and down day, pit road penalty and all that. AJ Allmendinger. This is something I noticed while I was doing my notes. The Dinger led once for 6 laps, but man, what a great few race runs he's had. His last 3 races. So Sonoma, 6th place. Nashville, 10th place, and now 3rd here. Usually we think about AJ Allmendinger as a road course guy, especially in the Cup Series. Of course, down in Xfinity, he's won all over the place. Took him a long time to win an oval down there too, though. Just really killing it. Didn't do great at the Chicago Street Course, but I think he got taken out, and I think he hit the tire barrier or something like that. But still, what a run for AJ Allmendinger, especially at his age too.
He finished 16th in New Hampshire last year too. So and I think he's only gotten better. So
I think so
watch
too.
out for a dark horse, maybe put some money on him for a top 10 finish.
Yeah. You want to know what? I would at this point, he's on a streak. Let's see. Brad Keselowski, we talked about. Ryan Blaney, another great performance. He led 3 times for 20 laps. I thought he could win at a certain point in stage 2 if the rain came. Austin Cindric, his teammate, he finished 12th, but he led 2 times for 10 laps. I feel like Austin Cindric was up front for a good amount of the day. He's another guy I'm kind of waiting for him to break out a little bit, though. He seems to run good at super speedways. He'll run great at road courses early on, and then things will happen. Just another guy, I feel like he's not putting together the races quite yet. What do you guys think about Austin Cindric so far in his sophomore season?
I got to respect him. I mean, he's doing what he needs to do in that car. And that's all I think that really matters. He's running up front. He's staying relevant. And like you said, it is only his 2nd year. And I think he's holding his own at Penske right now. I really do. I mean, you don't see Logano going out there dominating right now. So it's like you can't put it all on the 2 car for not going out there and dominating either. So there are some struggles amongst the Penske, 22 and the 2. The 12 seems to be the car right now. But even Blaney, he's kind of up and down here and there, not having the greatest run. So I kind of respect Austin Cindric in his sophomore year here, and he's doing enough for me to not be like, I think he's got to go,
Yeah, I think so too. I
agree. I mean, it's a sophomore year. Whitey, you just alluded to it a minute ago that everywhere but super speedways, Fords haven't been that great anyway. So, I mean, where is he in points right now?
I know I think he's in the top 20 at least. I want to say 17th or 18th. Let me see.
I'll tell you right now.
He's right on the nose at 20th. He's right on the button 20th,
there. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's still not bad for a sophomore year, especially if you compare him to some of the other rookies out there. Let's see. Chris Buescher, we already covered, but he led once for 39 laps. Joey Logano led twice for 11 laps. And then Eric Almirola led twice for 46 laps. He got the pole. I picked him as a dark horse. I was actually surprised he got the pole. And he was running really well, really aggressive, too. I was hoping he would get it done just for the sake of our legitimacy and our betting segment. But other than that, those are all the guys that led more than a lap or two during like green flag pit stops and whatnot. Is there anything you guys want to add to the race? Anything that jumped out to you that I might have missed?
I just wanted to say, I think we're all fanboys here. We're all secret fanboys of that 17 of Chris Buescher.
Yeah.
And he's plus 10, he's plus 102 right now in the playoff chase. Like, he is comfortably in the playoffs as far as points go right now. And he's just quietly, or maybe not so quietly, having his best season yet.
Yeah. He definitely is. Him and Brad
He's
together.
funny as hell too. He's a really good social media follow. He's self-deprecating,
deprecating.
Thank you.
Yes.
Self-deprecating. And he's funny. He's like got that like dry Southern sense of humor that like really like he's a funny follow on social media.
Yeah, you sent a video earlier. Some guy was like just getting autograph signing. He was filming. He goes, "Hey man, what do you guys do when you have to pee in those suits?" And he goes, "Hold it like an adult." And then they put the sunglasses meme on him, which I thought was great. But that's all I have for the race here at Atlanta, except everyone loves to talk about the winner, William Byron, on a Monday. But here on the Bumper Run podcast, we also like to talk about the loser, and that was one Austin Hill. He was involved in the Larson spin. He was on the DVP, and the clock ran out. The damaged vehicle policy clock ran out on him, and he was not able to finish. Rough, because you want to know what? He is a great super speedway racer in his own right, especially in the Xfinity series, running that part-time Beard Motorsports car. Just not the finish he wanted to see. But fellas, we got a weekend to look forward to.
Marty, you've got to come back with me. Where?
The next NASCAR Cup race. It's the weekend preview.
And we are heading to Loudon, New Hampshire. Xfinity on track Saturday, 3 p.m. on USA for the Ambetter Health 200. Cup on track Sunday, 2:30 on USA for the Crayon 301. And that's not Crayola crayons. It's just the brand Crayon. And practice and qualifying 12:05 on Saturday. Let's see. To go over our picks from last week, I picked Eric Almirola to win Atlanta. He got me 20 points. Matt, you picked Chase Elliott. He got you 24 points. And Eric, you picked Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He got you 27 points. So
What
Eric,
a battle. Wow.
yeah. Eric, you pick last. Matt, you pick second. And I pick first. Who do I want to pick at the almost short track of New Hampshire? I'm going with one of my short track aces, a guy a lot of people overlook. Haven't picked him in a while. Going with one Christopher Bell to win New Hampshire.
Back to back.
Crazy stat. He hasn't finished lower than second place since 2016 there.
In New Hampshire?
Yeah.
That includes his Xfinity career and everything?
Yeah.
That is, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I knew he was good there. I didn't know he was that good.
There was one race in 2020 where he came in 38th because he like was in a wreck or something.
Yeah.
But every other race, first or second, no
Really?
matter what.
Yeah. Well, glad I picked first this week then.
That's who I was going to go with too, but I knew Whitey, you Christopher Bell, so like I knew you were going to take him no matter what.
That's
why how did Ricky Stenhouse do? I'm like, Ricky, one of the weeks where I want to come in last, like you actually gave me the win.
Yeah.
27 to 20. What were those scores? Oh my God.
Overall got 20 points. Chase got 24 and Stenhouse got 27.
Oh, what
you
a
want to know why
battle
none
for
of
me to try to get Bell, dude. And I just,
that's because none of our guys got any stage points. I don't think. I think Almirola got like one stage point. I'm sorry, man. Matt, who are you picking?
I'm comfortably ahead in the points right now, so I can start getting a little fun with mine. So I'm taking a guy who I'm not sure anyone here has taken yet this year. I'm taking Ty Dillon.
All right, I'm marking him down. Right? Ty Dillon.
Ty Dillon.
The 70.
No. I can't. I'm just joking. I'm taking the guy who should have won last year. I'm taking the guy who led the most laps with 172 points last year in New Hampshire. I'm taking a guy who's having a lot of fun behind that wheel right now. I'm taking Martin Truex Jr.
All right.
Ooh,
I like
pick.
it.
Great
I like
pick.
it.
This season, it seems like we are getting back to multiple win drivers, the 3s, the 4s. We saw Slick Willie get to, and I think that's going to continue here going into the playoffs. So I just think besides Slick Willie, I think the other dominant car, and he's night and day from last year. The first 5 races of the summer stretch, Kyle Busch last year, 28th, 25th, 34th.
He had a real rough time.
And then now this year, he hasn't finished outside the top 10 in these first 5 races. I just think he is on a mini tear right now. I think he is focused. I think he's determined. So I'm going to go with Kyle Busch and that 8 car.
I like it. Dude, Eric, bring in the fucking stats. Statman Matt, you got to step up your game when it comes to the betting segment now.
I just gave you stats, 172 laps. What do you think? I pulled that out of my room?
I don't know. Eric's
He's a father now. I'm trying to give him. I'm trying to take a little off his plate.
Here's another stat.
All right, we are 19 races into the 2023 season. We have 11 different winners locked into the playoffs. We have Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Kyle Busch, William Byron, Joey Logano, Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, and Ross Chastain. And then on the cut line, on the inside, we have Harvick plus a 126, Chris Buescher plus a 102, Brad Keselowski plus 100. And then and Daniel Suarez and Michael McDowell both plus 3. So really close on the cut line there. On the outside looking in, Bubba Wallace minus 3 points. AJ Allmendinger minus 13 points. Ty Gibbs, shocking, minus 26 points that he is in the hunt as a rookie. And then Austin Cindric, we just talked about him sitting in 20th place. He is minus 38 points looking in. Who will it be grabbing that old lobster roll at the end?
Get him out, boys. Get him out.
Will it be Christopher Bell getting his 2nd win of the season? Will it be Kyle Busch getting his 4th win of the season? Or will it be Martin Truex Jr. getting his 3rd win of the season? We will find out this Sunday, 2:30 on USA for the Crayon 301. Normally we would break it down for you on Monday night, but we are taking this week off and heading on vacation. We will touch on the New Hampshire race and the Pocono race following the Pocono weekend that Monday, right here on the Bumper Run podcast. For Matt the Statman Reilly, for Eric Daytona Ron, I'm Michael D. White saying have a good night.
For Bump and Run, there it is.